Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 2060 6GB model in Sons of the Forest. This one is the Palit version of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers as usual, and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups, GPU Z, and finally over on the left, we are pairing it with a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and 32GB of RAM. Why such overkill specs, I hear you ask? Well, this game is actually super CPU bound, and I don't want to bottleneck the card, so I'm using an overkill CPU. If you have something slower, by the way, you will likely be CPU bound and achieve lower performance, but that's not really because of the 2060's performance, it's just the CPU, you know? So yeah, we're back here, my friends, playing this game on the high settings at 1080p resolution. As you can see, high settings preset, half resolution, because on full resolution it was VRAM bound. We were achieving 6GB of usage there, and over here we're using SMAA for now. We're going to use some DLSS as well, higher resolutions by the way, and these all turned off aside from the screen space reflection. I noticed that these two cause a bit more stuttering than usual, so I prefer to keep them off. The game is quite smooth, by the way. I already recorded pretty much everything about this video, but then I deleted the sound of my voice, so I need to do this all over again. Good thing is I already know what to expect and what settings to test and avoid. So for 99% of people, I think I would recommend the high settings that we're utilizing right now with the screen space reflections enabled, half resolution textures. I think it looks really good like this, especially when the sun is out like this. Oh yes, this is beautiful, very vibrant and gorgeous, and all of those shadows are still there on high settings. As you can see, they look great. Textures, well, they could look greater, but you know, this is the 6GB model of the RTX 2060. With the 12GB version, you can definitely max out those textures and make them look way more beautiful, but it still doesn't look completely terrible, right? I mean, overall, the game is very pretty, and it performs pretty well if you don't have a CPU bottleneck. Speaking of, again, you will need something like a Ryzen 550 600X to achieve around 60 to 70 frames per second on average. We got a huge stutter right there, by the way. That will happen every once in a while when it needs to load in some things like models, textures, new areas, tents. I noticed like a couple of big FPS drops near tents for some reason in the previous run that I made. Jesus Christ, no, this is terrible. Oh my god, no, this is just a freaking tree. Yeah, that scared the crap out of me. Okay. Also, by the way, if you're wondering, yes, I am back from vacation, and thank you so much for 400,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing, and I really appreciate it. Like, it's awesome. It's awesome to do this as a job. Thank you so much for allowing that, all right? These are the tents that I was telling you about just now, guys. Oh my gosh, they are actually following me, the damn bastards. They're climbing the trees and stuff. This is terrible. Also, you can clearly see that sometimes it is dropping from 60 FPS, but since it is a single-player title, I think that's not a big issue. You know, especially because it still feels alright when it drops. You can't really feel the slowdown too much, to be honest. It's kind of like it's not even dropping sometimes, because you don't feel any additional input lag like you do in a ton of other titles, especially first-person ones. So it's great that this is okay in that regard, at least. Ah, damn it, shut the frick up! Ah! Oh, God. Getting 56 right now. Now, what if you really want to keep the high settings and get it above 60 FPS? Is that possible? Well, let me tell you, it is possible with DLSS help. The DLSS help, yes. Quality DLSS is now enabled. And, oh boy, wait a second. It kind of needs a while to apply it fully, okay? As you can see, it went up there. Yeah, 60s. Still very close. Hello there. How's it going? It's very close to 60 frames per second sometimes. You can see 62, 61, 60. It might even drop still, honestly, but you get like 5 to 10 more frames per second most of the time. Yeah, now we're most likely going to be in the 70s most of the time, and in most intensive scenarios it will drop into the 60s, lower 60s, maybe high 50s. and it's going to be fine. Also, the VRAM usage is still under control, 5.8 gigabytes, so no worries there as well. Let's go near the water, see if it drops there. I don't think it will drop too much, at least. And yeah, that is the case for sure. It's pretty much the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's even better now that we're not seeing a ton of vegetation in front of us. Basically, this game is super intensive, also because of the huge amount of vegetation around us. It is the forest, after all. So yeah, whenever you see a ton of vegetation in games, it usually drops their FPS like crazy. And at least in this regard, I can say that it is kind of well optimized, okay? CPU performance-wise, no, it's terrible. But GPU performance-wise, it's okay. With all of this vegetation around us, like imagine GTA 5, for example, very well optimized title. If we had this much vegetation in that game, it would run like crap. Honestly, it would drop from like 140 FPS to 60 and even lower sometimes. A little turtle right here, very nice. Beautiful, beautiful. Didn't even know that there were turtles here. We should name them for sure, right? There's a little jacuzzi as well, by the way. Should we bath a little bit? Yes. Maybe we should even drink some water off of it. It's not a good idea because it's stale water, right? We should drink water from rivers. Running water is always better, okay? Just write that down in your survival books. Digging monthly. See, this is where maybe high resolution textures would help it a little bit. You might be able to read things with a higher resolution or higher resolution textures. Anyway, let's stop it there for 1080p resolution. Turn off DLSS, keep the high settings, and let's play a little bit at 1440p. This is extremely intensive at this resolution now, and at 2060 we'll probably struggle a lot. Also, look at that CPU utilization at times. Whenever I apply new settings, it goes up to 100%. Damn. And it has some huge fluctuations as well. I haven't really paid too much attention to the CPU usage, but I think it uses a ton of CPU. It's not only single core performance-wise, you actually do require a ton of cores at the same time. Let's start counting the FPS. So, how many of you expected native 1440p at high settings to be playable with this card? Not only playable, to not even reach 6 gigabytes of VRAM usage. Also, it didn't really improve the readability of this, if you're wondering, so you actually do need higher resolution textures if you want to read things like that, or maybe the things aren't really made to be readable. I don't know. Or maybe it's just the language of the native people from this island. Yes, it's like a blurry mess, but they can read it, right? I don't know, probably not. Anyway, I am very impressed with the performance of the 2060 here at 1440p native on high settings. I never expected like 50-ish frames per second on average. It's very, very impressive. It's actually only slightly slower than something like a GTX 1080 Ti using these settings. Although I didn't test the 1080 Ti in the exact same area as this one. So there could be some variation there. And honestly, in the starting area, it actually did drop into the 40s quite often using the 2060. So it is definitely slower than the 1080 Ti, but still very impressive. And we got the DLSS support. Remember that. That is a game saver or a game changer. Speaking of game saver, I should probably save the game. Given the fact that you don't have a huge input lag introduction by having less than 60 frames per second most of the time, it is still playable like this. Yeah, it's not as smooth, but honestly, I would have a ton of fun playing this at 1440p still. 2060 was a very strong-ish, I guess, not very, but it was a strong 1440p GPU back when it released. It was very capable of doing 1440p high settings, 60 FPS plus in most games, or medium to high settings at least. These days, well, it gets a little bit wrecked, as you can see. No more 60 plus FPS for sure at 1440. For that, you need like low settings in most games, and even then, it might not be possible. Take a look at Cyberpunk, for example. Let's use some DLSS now on quality. I won't really go below quality still at 1440p, by the way, because first of all, from quality to balanced, in terms of FPS, you gain like 3 or 4 more frames. It's not really that big of a difference here in this game. And in terms of quality, you do lose a lot of detail. So, yeah, whereas at 1440p on a 27-inch monitor, for example, with quality DLSS, it looks really good and detailed, almost as detailed as native resolution, but over-sharpened. Not gonna lie, it definitely looks over-sharpened. Balanced DLSS just starts looking a bit pixelated, so yeah. But this is still very, very doable for sure. Just gonna sleep the night or the day off, I guess. First of all, I'm gonna save it. Yeah, okay, there we go. We looted some things, so that was nice. Stop it there, because we got a massive stutter because of saving the game. Can we sleep again, please? Oh, thank God. I thought we couldn't sleep. Like the forest one, I don't remember, but I think in the forest one, if you slept then the day off, you just didn't feel tired at night and you wouldn't be able to sleep. So I'm so freaking glad that we managed to sleep the night off. Anyways, it is still dropping from 60 frames per second very often, as you can see. With DLSS on quality and 1440p, you gain about 5 FPS compared to DLSS off, so overall the experience is going to be quite similar. Doesn't really matter too much if you do have DLSS enabled or not. It's going to feel alright either way. Lastly, I want to see it at 4K high. This would probably be a great time to change it to medium, right? Yep, this is terrible. Below 30 frames per second, even though, again, I am very impressed with the input lag. It's 20 frames. Shut up. Can you go away, please? Can you go away? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this. You just scared the crap out of me. I don't like you guys. Just leave me alone. Stop crying, man. Can I help you or something? No? No, I can't. Just go. Go live your life. Look at this, the CPU socket right there. Where does the RAM go? Maybe behind it? I don't know. There's M.2. It kind of looks like an M.2 slot. Probably not, right? PCI? Oh boy, 24, 25. Yes, it's really not going to happen. It's still good for like walking around, taking screenshots, but for actually playing the game, nah. Let's try it with DLSS on performance, which is the lowest in this game. By the way, you can't do ultra performance, interestingly. Almost double the performance by enabling performance DLSS. And that's what I expect, honestly, because now the game is actually running at 1080p internally and upscaling it to 4K with some trickery, the DLSS magic, you could say. And yeah, it doesn't look as bad as 1080p, obviously. It actually looks pretty detailed compared to that. And I would say it looks very similar to 1440p with DLSS, like this. But of course, you still have the native 4K UI, which looks great like this, sharp and detailed. So if you have a 4K monitor with a 2060, you can still play The Forest, or Sons of the Forest, sorry, at 4K. Which is nothing short of amazing. Yeah, it's not native 4K, but it still looks really good. I'm on a 42-inch monitor, and I can tell, yeah, it's not as detailed. It is very over-sharpened at the same time, but on a 4K panel, I think I would take this experience. I don't know if there are many people running 4K monitors on a 2060. Probably not, right? But for the one or two of you that are, you can still play this game at 4K, as you can see. And the good thing is, you don't even need a very beefy CPU at 4K because you get more GPU bound, and you only need a CPU capable enough of getting 40-ish frames per second on average. So that Ryzen 5 3600 won't bottleneck this card at 4K resolution using DLSS on performance, which is very nice to see. I think that's going to be it for this video because, again, I already tested the game previously on a previous video that I recorded. And I saw that medium settings were giving us exactly the same results as high. Like, there was a slight difference in frame rate, but it was so slight that I couldn't really tell much of a difference. Definitely keep the game on these settings. High, half texture resolution. On full, it will stutter a lot, so make sure to keep it on half. And, well, you can disable DLSS, whatever you want here, of course. Use SMAA and screen space reflection. Don't enable these because it also stutters a lot with these enabled. At least it did for me. And, yeah, play on high because it looks way better than medium. Shadows especially are way more realistic, I guess, and the lighting as well, and ambient occlusion. What are you throwing me? Oh god. That's been it, my friends. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Get the game if you have a 2060, and if you haven't gotten the game already, it's very fun. Catch you in the next one. Love you all. Bye bye.